Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's Easter weekend, middle of April, and the sun finally came back out. We have quite a bit of cold weather still in the forecast, but here's the hillside that I've been clearing out and planting quite a few trees. Nice south-facing hill here. Still have to take this walnut out and a couple other larger ones up here that are going to be interesting to get, to say the least. But I'm over here on the fig row, and here's the top of the row that I have cleared off all of the leaves and straw and everything that I had on top covering. And as you guys saw from the winterizing video, I really didn't do much cover. So this was a big experience, and we had one of the colder winters that we've had. We hit, at my house specifically, we hit -13 on the old temperature gauge twice, and had 1 week where it never got above freezing. So it was very cold, but encouraging here. I'm starting to see some green buds. So here's the Sister Madeline's Green Greek that really impressed me last year with its growth, and I've got a nice green bud on there. You can see the freeze damage on these, but down right by the ground, and it's on this younger growth too. Nice green bud right there. So that's coming along. I'll have to cover these with a blanket or something here on the nights that it's going to hit the 20s still, but I wanted to uncover them and get them to warm up as much as possible and hopefully not freeze back here again. This is Basilica Sica, and there's a green bud down there. Can't get it to zoom in for you or show you. Sorry, terrible camera work. But there's a green bud down there. So that one survived as well above ground, which is encouraging. Here's Socorro Black. It definitely froze pretty good, and you can see, but it's green down here, and that's a bud. So it survived above ground. Teddy's helping me out. And here's green Macharinska, and it did very well right next to the ground on this super young growth. You can see the freeze damage, and then there's bud, green bud, and then just how, you know, good the growth was here. I guess I didn't really give this one too much credit with how well it grew, just because it didn't really put any fruit out, but hopefully we'll get it this year. So green Macharinska did good. Noir de Barbentein, let's take a look here. So you can see this like pinkish, that's mold. I think I need to keep them dry, and I have an idea that I think will kind of revolutionize how I cover these, at least with minimal coverage, and get them through the winter. So I'll do that on my next winterizing video, but I'm not so sure. I think there's a bud right there. So I believe that did survive right there, which is good. As long as you get it to survive at least a little bit above the ground, that's what you want. Here is Genteel, which was one of my most impressive figs last year, and it has a few buds on this backside. Kind of worried about how much freeze it has right there above the ground, but this is all really good growth right here that's survived, so that looks good. Next one down here is the ice fig, and this one doesn't like ice. It has quite a bit of freeze damage. I'm sure that it survived, but I don't know how much of this has survived. I don't see any buds on it yet, so keep an eye on that one. This was the Bordeaux grease that I am more than likely just gonna pull this out and replace it with one that I know is Bordeaux grease, because this just hasn't grown for me and did not do good, and I don't really care for it, so that'll be replaced. And Pastelli is kind of the same way. It really, I mean, maybe there's just something in my yard right here, but and it's supposed to be one of the more cold hardy figs. It does look like it survived up here, but I don't see any buds on it yet. Rockaway green has a nice green growth right here, so I am excited to see that. And a lot of this top growth has survived as well, Even one of these, well, I mean, that's dead right there, but I think this is all viable stuff here. So I think that one's pretty cold hardy. I mean, that was found in New York, Zone 7, so that one's known to be cold hardy. And Ronde Bordeaux, I don't really see any budding on it yet, but this stuff, again, it's the ground that keeps it warm. There's a bud right there. So we're not really growing yet, but I just kind of want to give you guys an update on where they're at. This is Safawi, and it actually doesn't look too good either. I don't really see any buds on it yet, but I'm sure it has survived. Here is Parodies of Bronze, BS, and I don't see much on it either, but it doesn't look too bad. These might be something that's coming alive here, but we'll see. And this one is Lebanese green, and it did really well. See this green? That's a nice bud right there. And this is just not very big growth for it to have survived, which I'm very happy with, because this is supposed to be a very, very good fig, and I haven't had it yet, but I hope I get some of this year. So Lebanese green did good. And this is the surprise of them all. Colonel Whitmans Black Cross. Again, I didn't give this one too much admiration during this last season. It had a nice form and it grew nice, but it really only put out a few figs at the end of the season. But look at how well this has survived. There's a little bit of blistering here, but it's all green growth and some nice buds on there. So I'm really surprised at how much of that has made it through the winter. So I think Colonel Whitman might be one of the more cold hardy figs that there are, even though it was a fig that was found in Florida. And this is Verta Long. This is the one that I replaced with the Smith, and super young growth. I did not expect it to make it, to be honest, because I have a backup, but there's a green bud right here. So I'd say when you can put them in the ground, you should put them in the ground, because some of these are even better than the ones that I have in pots as far as what has survived for the minimal protection that I've given these. This is Pellegrino, and let me just show you guys. So I have those, you might hear that buzzing going off in the background every once in a while, and those are supposed to be mole scare devices, and they didn't scare all the moles away, because see this stuff? They've dug up these roots, and I filled in a lot of the holes to try to keep them away. But figs are pretty amazing. They're like weeds. The more they seem to get chewed on and messed with, they just grow back bigger and stronger. You can see all these roots were dug up too, but there's such big roots that are going in all directions that they just don't seem to mind. This is Nero 600, and it's done pretty well. You can see this green growth with no freeze damage, and there's a bud. So we should be seeing some growth on him. Here's the Terramow, and nice green bud right there. So you can see the freeze damage, this especially, you know, it's all just dry stuff. And I'll come back, and once it's growing well, I'll trim the rest of this stuff off so that it doesn't get infected with anything. But there's some viable buds on these above ground growth, which is exactly what I wanted. Here's MBVS, and let me see here, that looks like a little green bud right there. Looking for some more, maybe even all the way up here. But see this white stuff, that's mold. But you never really can tell just how far the damage is until you do like a scrape test. Scrape the top, check this out, green. That means it's alive. So that one did pretty good. Here is improved Celeste, and a lot of it did die back. Let me see, a lot of the times you see the buds on the back sides here, but I don't really see a bud on this yet. Pretty good growth in the first year, but I'll just have to keep an eye on that one and see if she grows. And here was another, probably one of the hardiest ones that I have. Look at this nice green bud. Giacomorao. This was found in New York as well. Here, check this out. Nice green bud back there. So it's pretty vigorous as well. You can see these ones. So these were green actually when I unwrapped it. And since we've hit, like, I think we actually hit the teens a few times, I think it started to grow and then it freezes back. And that's when they take real damage. So you kind of just have to watch it when you unwrap them. If you're gonna have a night below freezing, you have to protect them again. And then here's the last one, and this is unknown sheep's head. There's that buzzing. That's that mole scare device that doesn't really work. But looks like there's a few buds on here. Again, they might have froze back, so we'll just have to watch. But Teddy likes to follow me. He thinks there's something underneath this black plastic every time I go on it. All right, so here I am on the front side of the house here. And this is the Tacoma Violet that I left exactly like this throughout the winter. No protection at all, didn't do anything to the base. And I'm telling you, when I came out here early March or so, these buds were swelling. And the problem with our area here is that we get, you know, March will hit 70-degree days sometimes, and then it'll be in the teens within a couple days. And that's honestly where these trees take damage. I think that it all comes down to keeping them dormant, and either this is one of the most cold hardy fig trees there are, because like I said, we hit -13 on our thermometer twice this winter. And even I just did a little scratch test. Where was it? Right here. Look, it's still green. I know you can see the blistering on here, but honestly, that was when we got our freeze thaws. So I think if they're just not running sap, these things can survive. So it's going to come down to finding out whether or how I can do that, keep them from you know, coming out of dormancy until, you know, they're safe. But we'll see. I'm not sure if this will actually bud out and grow up here, but I'll keep you guys, you know, in light of that, because if it does, then this has got to be one of the most cold hardy fig trees there are, period. You know, it's getting some of the thermal heat off of and this is an unheated, this is the attached garage, so it's not even part of the house, so there's not like heat coming out of it. But anyway, the only other one, and I lost the other tree over here because I've been having some construction done and they dumped concrete on it, killed it. But here was the Navids dark Greek that was rooted cutting from the summer, and I planted it in the fall and did absolutely nothing. This is exactly how it stayed. I put nothing over it, no mulch, anything. And check this out. There's a green bud right at the base. So, I mean, these things can survive. And again, this might be one of the most cold hardy trees there are, Navids dark Greek. And honestly, it's a really good fig too. But as you can see, the top of this is totally dead. So I'll have to come back and trim it out. But right there, and it had no protection at all. That's a green bud at the base of this tree. So, you know, they might not even need cover. I'll just continue to experiment and find out what works. But that'll conclude my my viewing of the fig orchard. I've got quite a few more trees to plant this year, and I'll keep you guys all updated. Thanks for watching.